The Three-Eyed Raven is one of the oldest characters in the legendary TV show Game of Thrones, and knows everything about Westeros' past, present, and future. Serving as the memory of the world, the Three-Eyed Raven has the ability to green see, which helps him travel through time, and warging, the ability to enter the mind of any living creature at any time, granting him godlike power to be omnipresent. The Three-Eyed Raven uses these powers to manipulate any character in the Game of Thrones universe, leading to the creation of a realm that can withstand the long night. The origin of the Three-Eyed Raven is a subject of much speculation and debate among the audience. While many believe it's linked to the life of Brynden Rivers, a popular theory suggests that the Three-Eyed Raven is an idea or entity that transcends individual characters, controlling the realm's future. The special traits of characters like Brynden Rivers and Bran Stark led them to become the Three-Eyed Raven. Their situation made them the right people at the right time to shape the realm's destiny. With the character reappearing in the House of the Dragon through the visions of Daemon, fans are buzzing with new theories on the Three-Eyed Raven. Let's see how this character reshapes everything we have seen in the show. But before we get into it, we do have one very small request. If you enjoy our content, then please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Now let's...
I've told you many times, stay too long where you don't belong and you will never return.
History of the Three-Eyed Raven. Even though the entity the Three-Eyed Raven is said to have existed long ago, from the time of the Children of the Forest in the Game of Thrones show, its ever-known human form and its intervention in the history of the realms starts from the legendary and mysterious character Brynden Rivers. Brynden was born in 175 AD as the bastard son of two powerful houses, the House Targaryen and the House Blackwood. Brynden's mother, Lady Melissa Blackwood, was a beautiful young woman who was one of the mistresses of Aegon Targaryen IV the Unworthy, making him the descendant of Rhaenyra Targaryen and Daemon Targaryen. Brynden carried the strong bloodline of his parents, Blackwood, with the blood of the First Men, and Targaryens with dragon blood. He inherited powers like green dreaming, being able to dream about the future, and shape-shifting. Born with albinism and red eyes, Brynden slightly resembled the Targaryens. Albinism gave Brynden sensitive skin, and he had to wear long coats with hoods, giving him similar qualities to a raven. With a red birthmark on his face, he came to be known as the Bloodraven. Brynden later wields Darksister, the legendary sword belonging to Visenya Targaryen, and later passes to Daemon, and doubtfully ends up in the hands of Jon Snow under another name. Brynden was born into political turmoil because of his father, Aegon Targaryen IV's lustful and immoral actions. His early life was not easy, and he was a fragile bastard of the king. He grew bullied and shamed in the king's court, but he became smarter and stronger than any other son of the king, even the rightful heir, Daemon II, as he received the same training as the legitimate sons from early age. Later, Brynden was legitimized by the king for his expertise in strategizing. Little did anyone know that this fragile bastard of the king is going to change the future of the realms forever. After the death of King Aegon, political turmoil arose all around the kingdom, with the king's other bastard sons rebelling under the banner of Blackfire against the rightful heir Daemon II. Brynden stood firm with Daemon, valorously fighting and killing his enemies. Brynden even lost an eye in a duel with the rivals. Being a war hero, Brynden became the most trusted council member of the king. After the death of Daemon, his son Aerys I was named the king. Aerys appointed Brynden later as the Hand of the King. Aerys had no interest in ruling, so Brynden solely took decisions on matters across the realm. During this period, he became the most powerful master of whisperers ever known to the kingdom, using his ability of green sight. Aerys' younger brother, Maekar Targaryen I, eventually succeeded him. Later, after the death of Maekar, political confusion arose, as there was no healthy heir of the king alive. Later, the fourth son of a fourth son, Aegon Targaryen V, was elected as the king, but for this succession to be unchallenged, Brynden, who had a long grudge to preserve Blackfire's house, killed the last standing heir of Blackfire. With no other option left, Aegon banished Brynden from the court for kingslaying and appointed him as Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Without any hesitation, Brynden accepted his fate as if he knew what was waiting for him beyond the wall. Maester Aemon Targaryen the Blind, who's an important character in Game of Thrones, also joined the Night Watch with him. After serving as the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, Brynden goes missing north of the wall, leading his friends to believe he's dead. However, he undergoes a transformation, fusing himself to a weirwood tree. This act grants him a long life and bestows upon him the revered title of Greenseer among the Children of the Forest, ultimately becoming the Three-Eyed Raven. The roots of the weirwood trees, intertwined across the realms, give him the power to reach anywhere across time and control the happenings in the realms. Brynden being a believer of Azor Ahai prophecy, that the prince who was promised would protect the realm from the White Walkers. For years passing by, Brynden, a man who believes in the results, whatever the measures may be, sits fused onto the tree, manipulating the bloodlines, ensuring the birth of Azor Ahai, and formulating triggers that result in the events we see in the Game of Thrones. As the greatest alteration in history that the Three-Eyed Raven has done, we can see him sending a vision in Aegon the Conqueror's dream that predicts the arrival of the Night King and the need for a Targaryen to rule Westeros in order to unite the living during the approaching Great War. Aegon's conquest of Westeros, with his 2 sisters and their 3 dragons in anticipation of the impending war, was motivated by the vision, which laid the very stepstone for the united realms we see today. Let's dive deep into the Three-Eyed Raven's influence in Game of Thrones. The Three-Eyed Raven first appears in the 4th episode of the show, even though the Raven has been influencing the realms long before. He appears in the dream of Bran Stark, who's supposed to be the next Three-Eyed Raven, after he falls from the Winterfell Tower and gets paralyzed. In the dream, Bran sees while he's in a coma. The Raven stops him from shooting an arrow and falls on the direwolf statue, then flies to the Stark house crypt. After dreaming this again, Bran is convinced that the Raven is guiding him to find his father, Eddard Stark, in the crypt, who should be safe at King's Landing now. The Raven is trying to tell him that his father has been beheaded in treason, led by Cersei. Bran goes to the crypt with Osha, and there, Rickon Stark, Bran's younger brother, reveals he had also had this same dream. When they reach the crypt, Maester Luwin meets them, informing them of the death of Eddard Stark. Later, when he asks Osha about the Three-Eyed Raven, she diverges from his questions. Bran then dreams of himself as his direwolf, Summer, multiple times. This sheds light upon his capability of warging into other living beings, which he has yet to master. It also tells us about the return of magic to the realm. The Three-Eyed Raven warns Bran about the forthcoming siege on Winterfell, showing Winterfell being flooded. Later, we see the Raven watching Maester Luwin sending letters about Theon's deceit and attack on Winterfell. With him not intervening in the sinister acts of Theon, we can conclude that it was meant to happen. With the help of Osha, Bran, Rickon, Hodor, and their direwolves, Summer and Shaggy Dog escape from Winterfell from the captivity of Theon. Following the advice from the remaining people of Winterfell, they travel to the north to meet Jon Snow, who will protect them. On the way to the north, Bran has another dream about the Three-Eyed Raven. In the dream, he can walk and shoot at the Raven with a bow and arrow. Jojen Reed, whom we'll talk about later, shows up in the dream and tells Bran that he cannot kill the Raven, because Bran himself is the Raven. This is the first time the show directly teases that Bran is the upcoming Three-Eyed Raven. Later in real life, Bran and his friends meet Jojen and his sister Mira Reed. Jojen confesses that he himself was in Bran's dream, and he also has power like Greensight. He was in Bran's dream, guided by the Raven. Bran and Jojen have a shared dream about Bran's fall later. Jojen and Mira tell the rest that they should cross the wall, but Osha is terrified by this idea and she doesn't agree. However, Bran agrees with Jojen and convinces Osha, saying that the Three-Eyed Raven is waiting for them in the north of the wall. Bran, later in the guidance of Jojen, wargs into the direwolves and fights a folk of wildlings who attack an old man. Considering Rickon's safety, Bran tells Osha to move him to safety, and Bran continues his journey to the north with Hodor, Summer, and the Reed siblings. Advancing forward, Bran wargs into a heart tree, and with the help of the Three-Eyed Raven, Bran sees the whole future of the realm, from the White Walkers attacking the Seven Kingdoms, led by the Night King, to the dragons flying again in the skies of the realm. In the end, he hears a strange sound commanding him to find him beneath the tree, north. Bran understands that he can find the Three-Eyed Raven under the Weirwood tree up north. Bran and his friends later reach the Weirwood tree, but they're eventually attacked by a group of whites, leading to Jojen being stabbed to death. With the help of Leaf, a child of the forest, they survive the attack. They move into a cave beneath the tree and find Brynden Rivers, who is fused to a tree and is actually the Three-Eyed Raven. Bran asks the Three-Eyed Raven to save Jojen's life, but he tells them that Jojen knew his fate and he couldn't change it. Brynden Rivers takes Bran as his disciple and trains him to fly through time and warg into any living things regardless of the time they exist, making him the next possible Three-Eyed Raven. Before we discuss the adventures through time, Brynden took Bran to ultimately connect him with everything that happened in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Let's answer why Bran was selected as the possible candidate for being the next Three-Eyed Raven, and how the power was transferred. Bran Stark, born as the 4th child of Lady Catelyn and Lord Ned Stark of Winterfell, was an adventurous child. His adventurous nature led him to accidentally witness Cersei Lannister, the Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, having sex with her twin brother Jaime in a tower in Winterfell. Fearing persecution, Jaime pushes Bran from the tower, eventually making him a cripple for life. Bran, who dreams of seeing himself walking in the Three-Eyed Raven, believes that the magic of the Raven can make him walk again, and gets desperate to meet the Raven. Even though all of the Stark children could warg, we saw Jon and Arya doing it, Bran was selected because he would do anything to walk again. With Jon and Arya leading their lives in their own battles and having their own moral compass, Bran, who's cooperative with the Raven, is seen as an easier target to manipulate and be made into the Three-Eyed Raven. As the story progresses, we see under the training of Brynden, Bran moves to the past and sees the youth of his father, Ned Stark, Uncle Benjen Stark, and his Aunt Lyanna Stark in Winterfell. In his visions, he learns what happens in the Tower of Joy, which led to Robert's Rebellion. There, he saw the birth of his half-brother Jon Snow, revealing his parents are his aunt Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen, son of the Mad King. From this, Brandon comes to know the ever-hidden truth that Jon Snow is a living heir to the throne and might be the prince that was promised. In visions, he also learned that the Children of the Forest originally created the White Walkers to defend the weirwood trees from the First Men. While traveling to the White Walkers without the Raven knowing, Bran accidentally gave away their secret location to the Night King, who sent White Walkers to kill him and the Raven. Brynden Rivers gets killed in the fight with White Walkers, but he transfers all his memories to Bran, making him the Three-Eyed Raven. Surviving the attack of the White Walkers, Bran, who has newly become the Three-Eyed Raven, has a huge character change, and behaves like Bran no longer. Bran thus begins his journey as the Raven, formulating every forthcoming event in the story to result in the Song of Ice and Fire. Even though we know all of this from the books, Game of Thrones didn't give direct answers to many questions related to the Three-Eyed Raven, especially its identity related to Brynden Rivers, as the show ended in a hasty way. The finale of House of the Dragon has given answers to all these questions. The epic revelation in the finale has heated up discussions all over the internet. Let's explore deeper what the House of the Dragon finale revealed. Halfway through the final episode of House of the Dragon Season 2, we see Daemon, who's planning treason against Rhaenyra, having a vision. In the previous episodes, we also see Daemon have many strange visions and sinking deep into confusion and dismay. Guided by Alice Rivers, Daemon touches the weirwood tree in Harrenhal, and ultimately reaches out to the Three-Eyed Raven. In his vision, he sees a mysterious young man sitting covered in weirwood tree roots. We can see a red birthmark on the young man's face, confirming he's none other than Brynden Rivers, confirming his identity as the Three-Eyed Raven. We see a younger version of Brynden way before he lost his eye, proving that he has also been using the powers of the Raven at younger ages. Then we see Daemon in the battlefield, filled with dead soldiers, which are most probably from the Blackfire Rebellion, connecting Brynden's future and Daemon. In the next scene, we see an army of dead led by a White Walker, who looks like one underling from the Night King's army. We're not sure when this is taking place, but with Daemon saying the iconic dialogue from Game of Thrones, "Winter is coming," to Rhaenyra, we can assume it might be around the corner. Then we see him walking near two dead dragons on a battlefield, showing him how dreadful the upcoming war is going to be. With one dragon lying in the shadows, we're completely incapable of stating which one it is, but the first dragon is not any dragon we've closely seen in the entire series, leaving it to be speculated as Aegon the Younger's dragon, Stormcloud, the same dragon flying in the sky of Pentos at the end of the finale. Aegon the Younger, who's not yet cast on the show, will be shown as an important character in the coming seasons. Walking on the battlefield, Daemon falls into a pit of water and drowns, probably showing us how his life is going to end. Next in the vision, we see a quick shot of the Red Comet, teasing the Azor Ahai prophecy, and Daenerys Targaryen with her freshly hatched dragon babies. With this sequence, the age-old heated discussion of whether Jon or Daenerys is the prince that was promised surfaced again. The greatest villain, the White Walkers, are shown in the sequence next to Daenerys with her dragons and the Red Comet. The fans concluded that it's about the foes of the realm and its prophesied savior, and how the show directly says Daenerys is the Azor Ahai. However, the creators intervene in this dispute and reveal the finale does not confirm who Azor Ahai is. Then we see Rhaenyra undisputedly sitting on the Iron Throne, which is actually similar to Daemon's introduction scene in the first season. It shows the frustration Daemon has for not being able to sit on the Iron Throne at the same time, showing how Rhaenyra is the rightful heir to the throne. In the end, he meets Helaena Targaryen. She tells him that it's all a story, and he has to play his part right. Coming back from the vision, we see Daemon afraid about the battle with White Walkers. He kneels with the men under his banner before Rhaenyra. After the vision, Daemon undergoes a huge transformation. He's no longer the person who plotted against Rhaenyra. He now understands that she is the true heir. He realizes that her coronation is the only hope for the realm to survive the impending long night. We can't go without seeing how the Raven's manipulative skills result in Daemon deciding this. The Raven, from the moment Daemon stepped into Harrenhal, showed green dreams about all the frustration and inferiorities making him feel weak. We see Daemon asking Alice about why he's having these strange dreams, leading her to guide him to the weirwood tree. Daemon, shattered with dreams, easily cooperated with the vision he had and returned to support Rhaenyra. Helaena, reaching Daemon in his dream, was very unpredictable. She was to do this with the help of the Raven. Helena's previous strange behavior was actually green dreams that she was having from a very young age. Looking at the drawings she made in her room, we can confirm most of them predict many incidents, even stretching into the Game of Thrones timeline. After meeting Daemon, she says that all of us are part of a story, as if she has forgiven him for the death of her son. In the books, Helaena is portrayed sinking into madness after the death of her son, but I think it's brilliant of the creators to give her this character arc in the show. With the Raven himself guiding her, we can confirm that this character is becoming more important and powerful, and has a glorious purpose in the coming seasons. What the Raven showed Daemon proves how important the House Targaryen is in protecting the realm from the Night King and his army of the dead. Brynden and Daemon are both Targaryens. The revelation about the forthcoming Long Night is passed from Targaryen to Targaryen, and like Brynden, it is passed from Aegon I in his dream. This indicates that the family was aware of the impending threat posed by the White Walkers, which helps to explain why they made such such a valiant effort to maintain the bloodline, knowing that the dragons are the only line of defense against the White Walkers. The only confirmed influences of the Raven were the revelation in the finale of House of the Dragon, the truth behind the creation of the White Walkers and the secret parentage. Him sending the first vision to Aegon I still stands in the shadow of doubt, even though with the ultimate power to warg, we arguably say instances like he was the boar that killed Robert Baratheon, and he was the raven that sat on Jon Snow, making him the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, and more. Marvelous verdict. The Three-Eyed Raven, the most powerful character in all of Westeros, is the realm's memory. The Night King's attempt to eliminate this crucial entity, to prevent it from warning Westeros, is a clear indication of its significance. The vision Daemon had and the Raven's introduction are set to play a pivotal role in the upcoming seasons, further connecting it to the narrative of Game of Thrones. The creators have announced new shows like The Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which take place in Brendan's youthful days. The plot of the show revolves around King Aegon V, whose succession took place with the help of the Raven's manipulation and bloodline. This new show, along with the connection to the Raven, promises to further explore the importance of the Raven in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon universe. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone!